Ladies and gentlemen, the topic for this session is Wellness and Spiritual Tourism, Advantage India. Post-COVID, holistic well-being focused on nutrition and rejuvenation is being talked about more than ever. The hospitality industry in India has seen a renewed interest in wellness tourism. As things get back to normalcy, it is predicted that wellness is going to be a priority for everyone and people will plan their vacations around it. What are the panelists' thought on all of this above? Will wellness tourism gain precedence in the coming times? Are wellness centers taking steps to revamp their wellness plans? Will there be new programs for wellness holidays that do not include body contact therapies? And now, ladies and gentlemen, moving ahead with the proceedings of this session, I have the proud privilege in introducing our eminent panel members. Our eminent panelist, Mr. Adi Achint, is Group General Manager, the Windflower Resorts and Spa. Basically from an armed forces background, he joined the hotel industry in 2001 with ITC Hotels. After 4 years of training, started his management career at the ITC Maratha Mumbai, handling the butler services. Also had the opportunity to become a restaurant manager and further a multi-restaurant manager at the same property. Post the stint in ITC, he got an opportunity to work with the Royal Orchid Hotels for a short while and then with the Lemon Tree Hotels, wherein he was involved with the opening of 2 hotels in New Delhi and 3 more in other parts of the country. Moving on to Mysore, he joined the Windflower Resorts and Spa as a resort manager. Our panelist, Mr. Baby Matthew, is Chairman and Managing Director, Somathiram Ayurveda Group. Mr. Baby Matthew, a postgraduate in business administration, has proved his skills in many capacities, has been in the forefront of promoting Ayurveda and tourism nationally as well as internationally. He has played a significant role in improving the popularity of Ayurveda in Europe, UK, Scandinavia, CIS countries and US. He has also participated in many national and international health and Ayurveda seminars in India and abroad. Is now the president of Kerala Travel Mart Society, KTM, the umbrella organization of travel, tourism and hospitality industry in Kerala since 2017. Also is an active member in film and media, playing a tremendous role to uplift the society. Eminent panelist Dr. Purnima Krishnamurthy is an Ayurveda consultant at Prajna Kutira. Heads Prajna Kutira, a unique Ayurveda Panchakarma, a rejuvenation center at Mysore. Is also director, Abhuna International Academy of Ayurveda and Yoga Mysore. Secretary, Global Alliance of Traditional Health Systems and Mind Body Spirit Society of India. Our panelist, Dr. Mrityunjaya Swami, is an author of Amazon's bestseller, Ancient Secrets of Healthy Living. Through his book, he wants people to infuse and understand the science of life for a healthier tomorrow. Dr. Swami has also transformed this science into a brand name, Shathayu, which caters many customers and patients. He envisions seeing Ayurveda flourish throughout the world. Shathayu is one of the oldest brands in health and wellness and is a pioneer in promoting evidence-based treatments, therapies and services. With the spread of over 16 clinics and 1 retreat, Shathayu sees itself to establish 100 clinics and 20 retreats across India and abroad, and simultaneously spread the awareness of Ayurveda, yoga, and naturopathy. Our panelist, Ms. Poonam Tipnis, head sales at Niramya Retreats, has over 22 years of experience in hospitality sales with a strong focus on client servicing, multilingual professional with a deep understanding of international as well as domestic markets. In her current company, she has played a pivotal role in setting up the sales and reservations channels for Nirmaya and identified new markets segments for the brand. Our distinguished moderator for this session, Ms. Vinita Rashinkar, is a health and wellness expert, writer, speaker, spiritual counselor, and tourism PR specialist. She is the founder and managing director of Amara Vedic Wellness Gram, a Dusseldorf-based company founded with the intention to bring the hidden aspects of Vedic knowledge to the common man, thereby promoting total wellness encompassing the body, mind, and spirit. Miss Vinita also owns a company called Brewbig Marketing, which works with state tourism boards and private companies to help them promote their products in the international markets. Miss Vinita has been featured in various Indian and international publications such as Femina, Outlook, Asia Spa, Finest Finance, and Vogue. She is currently working with a major TV channel to provide health and wellness content while continuing to follow her career path in tourism PR. And ladies and gentlemen, with that round of introductions, I have the proud privilege in handing over to our distinguished moderator of this session, Ms. Vinita. Over to you, ma'am.
Namaste and welcome. We are going to be discussing on a panel now about wellness and spirituality as a tourism product and why India is at an advantageous position today. So I have a really eminent panel who I'm really proud of, and I'm so happy to be talking to all of you. So in no particular order, I'm going to be introducing all of you. So there's Adi from Windflower. There's Mr. Baby Matthew from Somathiram. This is Dr. Mrityunjay Swami. There's Poonam Tipnis from Niramaya Retreat. And there's Saumya Maheshwari, who represents Pinnacle. They are the face of the wellness industry as far as the print media is concerned. So that's a little bit about all of us. So I think without further ado, let me just ask each one of you to introduce yourselves briefly. Let us keep one thing in mind, that we are reaching out to a fraternity of tourism students. So let's keep the tourism jargon, which we understand very well, down a little bit, as much as we can, and try to address them as an audience so that they get a feel of what wellness is, what spiritual tourism in India is all about. So Poonam, if I can start off with you, kindly introduce yourself.
Namaste, I am Poonam Tipnis. I work with Niramaya Retreats. Well, the interesting part about this entire session is the word wellness totally resonates with what I do, which is Niramaya. So Niramaya pretty much means a sense of well-being. And there is this shlok in Upanishad from where we picked up our name. It goes something like Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, Sarve santu Niramaya, Sarve bhadrani pashyantu, Ma kaschit dukh bhavet. So I'm sure all of you must have heard about this at some point or the other in your childhood, but that's where we come from. We are looking at making sure that wellness is incorporated as a part of our lifestyle rather than just something that we do as something as an activity or as an exercise.
Wonderful. I couldn't ask for a better introduction than one with universal peace, the shloka. Thank you so much, Poonam. Mr. Baby Matthew, over to you for your quick introduction. And I would also like to ask Dr. Purnima to join the panel now. Dr. Purnima, welcome from all of us. Greetings and thank you for joining in.
Thank you, Vinita. Hi to every one of you. Hi.
Hi, hi.
We're just doing the introductions and I'm handing over to Mr. Baby Matthew to kindly introduce himself.
Namaskaram. I'm Baby Matthew from Somathiram Ayurveda Retreat, Kerala, Trivandrum. We started this concept of Ayurveda wellness 30 years before. It goes along with the Ayurveda, yoga. We started Ayurveda and yoga together. We started as a wellness center. Now we are into wellness as well as serious Ayurveda and yoga programs. It is an NABH accredited Ayurveda hospital. Somathiram Ayurveda group has got 6 products. Somathiram is an NABH accredited Ayurveda center. Manal Thiram Ayurveda hospital is also an NABH accredited. And we have few more. Yeah, this is all for the time being about the Somathiram and my activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we're really excited to have the face of Ayurveda globally here talking about wellness into India. So thank you for that introduction. And now, Dr. Swami, if you can kindly tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. Myself, Dr. Mrityunjay Swami from Bangalore. I own a brand called Shatayu. It's a 120-year-old brand. Started with my great-grandfather. Then it is in our legacy. We have 3 products called Clinic, we have Retreat, and we have products. And I am practicing from past 20 years. We are specialized in lifestyle disease management. And right now we have 15 plus clinics in Bangalore and Hyderabad. We have a clinic in Houston, America, one in Australia, Perth. So we have a beautiful retreat property next to our Bangalore International Airport, where our main focus is on the overseas clients. So right now we have treated more than 10 lakh customers here. And we are very good in lifestyle disease, especially the obesity, diabetes, migraine, psoriasis, all those treatments we do. And I'm very happy to get connected with this conversation, wherein we can give some insights. What is the scope of wellness in right now scenario in tourism industry? Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Swami. Now I move on to Adi. Adi, if you can just tell us a little bit about your phenomenal growth in the industry.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adi Achin. I am the general manager for Vintla Resorts and Spa. We're a resort company in the southern part of the country, looking at selling experiences and making memories with our guests. We have basically resorts in very natural settings all over in very unique destinations around the southern part of the country. That's one of the reasons why I mentioned making memories and selling experiences relating to those destinations. For example, we've got a resort in Bandipur where we actually specialize in tribal cuisines, tribal experiences, and village visits, and so on and so forth. So today, what we are doing is basically reinventing ourselves so that we can fit into the market requirements as of today. And we are a company which basically encourages people to connect, spend some time with their families, connect with themselves and first nature around them. Thank you for having me in this forum, and I hope I'm able to contribute something.
Most certainly, Adi. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Soumya, give us a quick introduction.
Hi, my name is Soumya Maheshwari, and I am the associate publisher for Pinnacle Connect Group, which brings out a wellness lifestyle magazine called Global Spa. We also do a couple of other publications, but I'll restrict myself to wellness today. We realized the importance of wellness. I mean, there are serious players like Somathiram there and the Anandas and everybody else who was offering wellness in India. Of course, tourism came along with wellness to it. We added the bent of lifestyle to it when we launched our magazine. Now, Global Spa is a wellness lifestyle magazine wherein we talk about wellness. We also talk about a lifestyle which leads you towards wellness. And I think we take a lot of pride when I say that it's a push-pull effort wherein we introduce the client or the reader, the end reader, to the new treatments, new therapies, and the new concepts which are coming up. And we also talk about the traditional remedies and the traditional methods of wellness which are there. So while we introduce new things, we also take them back to the roots. And I think that's something which we should never forget, that it's the roots where we belong. Of course, we still need to grow.
Thank you so much, Soumya. That's wonderful to hear. Dr. Purnima, welcome. And let's hear a quick introduction from you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me on this meet. Lovely to meet you all. I'm the Director and Chief Consultant of Pragna Kutira Ayurveda Tapovan and Abhigna International Academy of Ayurveda and Yoga. Whilst our Pragna Kutira caters to the therapeutic needs of the patients, Abhigna International Academy is more for research and therapeutics. So we are into both Ayurveda and yoga, and our family comes from a lineage of Ayurveda physicians. In fact, our ancestors were, treating the royals of Mysore, the Wadeyar dynasty, basically. So we are kind of a 9th-generation Ayurveda people into this field, and we have kind of packaged it for the needs of today's society, much as we follow all the traditional therapies that have come to us through the ages. We very proudly but humbly carry forward the legacy that's been left behind by our ancestors to us. So that's about us, and we are in Mysore, on the outskirts of Mysore city, in a place called Kergalli, and I welcome you all to our place whenever possible.
Thank you so much, Dr. Purnima. So now let's get into the discussion. Now we know that a little bit about the speakers. Poonam, I'd like to start with you because I know you will have to exit this meeting a little earlier than scheduled because of your prior commitments. Poonam, can you quickly tell us what your experience has been in terms of for your company, how the past couple of months have been, and what your growth was before that, and what you anticipate is going to be the scenario in the coming months?
Well, wellness is something that a lot of our guests chose to do earlier. I would say the pre-COVID era and now the current era. But now that people have realized that wellness is something that they need to be a little bit more serious about, they have recognized the fact that it's not something that you need to do only intermittently. You just need to consistently follow something. So I have seen that in terms of queries, earlier leisure was a big thing in tourism. Now wellness is trending to be the new leisure. So everybody who comes wants at least some part of their vacation or holiday to mean something to them as far as taking care of their body is concerned. So going forward, I definitely see an upward trend into the wellness segment. And like Soumya was saying, it is important for us to go back to the roots, understand where we came from, but at the same time, continue to adapt ourselves to newer technologies. Because Ayurveda came into India about more than 5,000 years ago, and so did yoga. But our body has evolved to a great extent since then. So what held true for our body may not necessarily hold true anymore. So you need to make sure you hold on to your roots, but at the same time, explore a little bit and adapt yourself in terms of the new wellness therapies that's coming in. So one of the things that we're introducing in Kovalam, in one of our flagship properties, is something called functional medicine. So just like Dr. Swami mentioned, lifestyle related diseases are something that are totally in our control to not only subside, but totally reverse at times. And that's something that I look forward to doing. So all of us on this panel, we are gonna make sure that we take India and the world towards a healthy future, one person at a time.
True, true, well said. Mr. Baby Matthew, do you want to come in and give us your experience of what the past few months have been? Because I know international tourism has come to a standstill. Yes. So what has been Somathiram's experience? How are you coping? How are you dealing with it as a company?
Yes, I remember during the month of March, yes, when COVID started, I had around 350 foreign guests, wow, from more than 60 countries. It was a situation, I mean, in my 6 properties, it was a situation. These people were coming, guests were coming as, not just as tourists, they were coming to take Ayurveda and yoga seriously. Few people for wellness, but most of them, 80% of them for serious Ayurveda treatment. At the same time for yoga also. Right. Certain groups for yoga. Anyway, that was the situation. Somehow we were in a very difficult situation. What to do with them? Should we continue with them or should we send them out of the country? Mm-hmm. Anyway, finally a situation came. We were trying to send them out of the country. That was a situation I can only imagine still now. Anyway, that is what happened during the month of March. But now I want to say, even now today, at 7:30, in the same platform that I am sitting, we are going to have a yoga live demonstration for more than 60, 70 foreign girls. They are participating in it. Every week they are participating. And they always ask, when are you going to open? When can we come? We miss you all. So this is the situation. I think always wellness and spirituality is connected in India, no doubt at all.
Right.
Many people around the world, the wellness is different in India than the wellness in other countries.
Right.
The concept of wellness in other countries is different. But in India, because of Ayurveda and yoga, it is different. The spirituality, India is a hub of spirituality. So we can combine all this together. Ayurveda, yoga, and spirituality. That is the advantage of India.
True. Very.
Thank you very much.
Adi, if I can bring you in here, Mysore has always been seen as the hub of Ayurveda and yoga, and I think Windflower was fairly instrumental in, giving this, title to Mysore. So what's been your experience, and what do you think we have in store in the coming months? Do you think India will come back, Mysore will come back as a hub, or do you think that, it might move to a place like Maldives or Sri Lanka? What's your thought?
Ma'am, traditionally, Mysore has always been the hub for yoga across this part of the world. As a matter of fact, people always think it's India, but I personally feel it's this part of the world. And because of all the shalas and the existing infrastructure within the city, I don't think there's going to be much of a challenge as soon as some sort of semblance of normalcy with regards to a vaccine or something like that comes into play, where the trust factor, if I may put it like that, is back with the end person. Apart from that, people who are looking at this kind of lifestyle, they're not looking at traveling and meeting too many people. They're looking at intrinsic values, they're looking at intrinsic growth, they're looking at probably treating some internal, issue that they're dealing with. And I don't think as soon as I'm sure the air bubbles have already started up and stuff like that. So I believe as and when this thing will go forward to European countries and of course America in some time, I believe this is going to be back because there is natural social distancing in yoga. You always stand a little further away. There is natural, you always do it in open environments. So people are going to look at these things and people are going to take those decisions. Although right now it's a little, doubtful, but probably in the next couple of months, I think things will streamline back again. So I think there's a bright future ahead because after the lockdown, a lot of people have gone through a lot of trauma in their minds with regards to being isolated, being in a no contact environment, not being able to do certain things that they were used to. So there are going to be these intrinsic issues that people will want to deal with and stuff like that. And people who are aware of what yoga can provide, I think they're going to be back. I don't think there's going to be much of a challenge. And as a matter of fact, we can already see some parts of it trickling back again. There are those old faces which I see in Mysore back again, who are some of the people that have been running these shalas, having part of them. I see them back. I can see their posts online and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be back soon.
Okay. Poonam, I know you will have to leave the meeting soon. So what is changing in your marketing strategy as a retreat company? Do you foresee that the international customer is going to come back very soon, or do you think that they're going to wait until end 2021 to make up their mind? So what's your thought on that?
So as far as the international customer for wellness is concerned, I think as soon as the flight operations resume, there will be some of them who will start coming in. But the main chunk will definitely come in about 2 to 3 months after the flights have started operating. Right now, our main strategy has been to generate awareness in the domestic market about wellness. Because although we see a lot of international people know much more about yoga and Ayurveda, it is quite surprising that we have forgotten what we grew up with.
Correct.
So there were these little rituals that all of us would remember. So it's pretty much going back to your childhood, going back to how your grandparents lived, and following those practices. So it's
Right.
not very difficult, but at the same time, especially for practices like yoga or Ayurveda, it is important to have a proper guru to take you through to the entire journey. And that's where all of us come in.
Right.
So we provide a platform for everybody to come, learn, relearn, refresh themselves, and make sure that it's a part of their lifestyle.
Right.
So going forward, domestic is something that we're definitely focusing on.
Okay.
And once we have that, I think, well, we have 1.3 crore people
True,
sitting
true.
there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's enough for all the yoga institutes to be full the year around
Right.
and more.
Yeah. Dr. Purnima, can I have your take on the subject? I mean, how has it been with Pragna? How has your practice been in the time when pretty much all of us were living under lockdown?
Yeah, during the lockdown, we were having very subdued activities, basically because Ayurveda rejuvenative therapies does involve a lot of physical therapies, right? So, but we, as Dr. Matthew was telling us, it did hit us because we had a lot of bookings through April and May, because that was when, you know, my children would have finished their exams. So I had made those bookings so that I could concentrate on my patients and clients, and most of the bookings were called off. But I have been in the field for the last 30 years now or more. So I have a good clientele or patient base that I can say, and I've always guided them through good healthcare practices which they can lean upon, you know, like the pranayama, the agnihotra, the yoga practices. We have trained them with the basic concepts of it. So they will always lean back on those and keep them going until they come back to me for whatever therapies, whether it is for their therapeutic needs or for their rejuvenative therapies, because we handle both of them. I do see a lot of hope because they all know that Ayurveda is where they can really re-establish themselves, right? So anyways, they will come back to us sometime. It's only that we just have to wait and pray for things to get better soon. This is a wave, and it's taught all of us a lot of lessons, to have patience, to learn how to live with very minimal facilities that we have. And if ever we had very good lifestyle practices, whether it's the doctor community or the patient community or the general public, they don't have to worry about their lowering immunity or whatever. They can manage and then come back to looking for Ayurveda therapy. So definitely, I think this service sector will come back like a phoenix. It just is a matter of time, I can say.
This too shall pass. Dr.
Yeah,
Swami, is that
that's
something you also think? And what's been your experience with the new retreat which you opened near the Bangalore airport? It's a fabulous property that you have, and we were quite looking forward to coming there, but the situation is such. So what's your take on this?
Thank you, Vinita, for that appreciation of the property. See, few of the insights, as Poonam was telling, like we were more focused on the foreign clients and the other clients rather than the local crowd. There is a saying in Kannada which I will translate in English. We have a butter in hand. We are searching here outside. Literally, I am telling out of my experience. We opened our property in June because we have taken Shatayu retreat has been taken as a hospital permission license, so we could open it in June. From June to till today, I am seeing a huge crowd inflow from Bangalore itself. Earlier, it was the completely neglected one. Because a lot of tourism student community is watching this, I want to tell that in the coming days, the wellness is a big thing. Right. See, earlier why wellness, Ayurveda, yoga were so popular worldwide was prevention is better than cure. Everyone knew, but how to do? Everyone was relying on this science, especially Ayurveda, yoga, naturopathy, the wellness concept, the massage concept.
Right.
See, even you see the history of our retreats or tourism industry, even post-independence, earlier only massage centers used to be there in the resorts. Later it as a spas, then came as a wellness. Then some people made it as a retreats, exclusive healing experience to give them.
Right.
Then it became a hospital registration. So you see the growth pattern also. But right now, this COVID has opened a big chunk of gate for us because everyone knows medical science lacks the prevention part.
Correct.
If somebody has to boost their immunity, there is some other science where they have to rely on.
Right.
And people have realized now during these lockdown time and even post-lockdown.
True.
And even our customers have told, rather than going to general resort, we want to go to a wellness retreat where there is a wellness facility available.
Right.
So they're getting more of an exposure and they're getting more confidence. So
Right.
I feel all these stakeholders from, especially India is a world leader in wellness.
True.
We have to come forward and take it and brace up this challenge and give the best service to the world, even for our local people. That's what my experience is.
Soumya, to speak about it from another perspective. So we've heard what the doctors have to say, what the resort owners have to say. But from your perspective as a publication, what has been your thought? How are the advertisers reacting? How are the readers responding? So if you can just give us your insights into that aspect.
So I think each publication house went to a very steep downfall, steep downfall that came up. The only people who actually worked well were the people who diversified themselves. Thankfully for us, we are not only restricted just to the publishing, we also continue doing a lot of events and a lot of knowledge-based sessions for our guests and their clients. We had a few financial clients who wanted the sessions on yoga, who wanted the sessions on, a session with the chef to be done on immunity building recipes, on exciting recipes, because beyond the time, the lockdown and the wellness thing actually the experience was so overwhelming for everybody that, okay, we don't want to talk about COVID, but we want to figure out what can we do with our own life right now when everybody is under their own, under their own roofs.
Right.
So it was a multiple, I would say, dimensional approach that we took on. Of course, the magazine, we never had the print edition during this lockdown because we still do not have one because people are still very cautious on the courier is coming, where is it coming from? There's a printing press in different countries, in a different city. The magazine is being sent to Kerala or to another remote part of the city. How many hands is it going through? Let's not fall for it. So we have the digital editions, of course. What also helped us was our visibility on the other platforms where the magazines are available. So be it the GeoMags platform, be it Amazon, we still get orders on Amazon for that matter. And read where and our own website where we uploaded the editions. We realized that the people had a different approach towards content. They wanted to know more on what is happening in the world of wellness specifically, rather than getting to know which is the new resort which is opening. Ideally, there was no resort which was opening because everything was shut down.
Right.
So we focused on that. And we saw a multiple downloads which were happening. We engaged, a few celebrity yoga practitioners. We did a lot of live sessions, and it went on well. The kind of queries that we were getting were also related to the well-being, both preventive as well as curative. I am suffering with this. Do you think I should be doing this? Or I don't want to fall into this thing. What do you think I should be doing? Were the kind of questions that we were getting. And we are continuing to get a lot of, I would say, inquiries on which are the best places to travel, where should we be focusing on, which is the best wellness retreat, and of course, each retreat has its own benefit. We can't really be saying that this one is the best one or that one is the best one and you should be going here, but we give them a platform. We also engaged a lot of stakeholders from the industry. We did a session on Zoom for our readers with the international property guys. We did 2 sessions with the Indian property owners as well. We couldn't really reach out to a whole lot of us because there is so much of offering within India that we had.
Right.
But we chose a few at a short notice. Whosoever was able to join in, they came in and they shared their knowledge and their offerings for that matter. The people understood.
Okay.
Advertising, yes, it has taken a big hit. I'm not sure how soon do we see it coming to the 2019s.
Right.
But what has happened is that the queries have started to come in. People are asking, I have this budget. Do you think you could do something for me in this budget?
Okay.
Earlier it was, listen, I have to do this. And I would say, okay, let's do this. And this would be the approximate amount. I'm like, okay, let's do. And, bit of negotiation, people also understood that nobody was trying to make money out of them.
Right.
But today we realize the priorities. I mean, properties are investing in their own technologies, in their own way, wherein they would be offering stuff to the guest, a memory. What Adi mentioned that people create memories. So that's happening. What Dr. Swami mentioned that we actually never really thought what is there near us. We had a butter hand, but we're looking for ghee outside. So focus is again on the Indian properties. We also are focusing on the Indian properties now. Rather than the international ones. The idea is to make people travel within the country, and of course, once the comfort level grows in, that's when they would travel outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think Poonam has left the meeting. Poonam, if you're there, just raise your hand. I'm not sure if you're still there.
Sorry. There was a power failure, so I got logged off.
Are you going to be still a little longer with us, Poonam?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I have a couple of more minutes, no problem.
Wonderful. So feel free to leave the meeting whenever it's time. So, but in the meantime, tell us what your thoughts are on why India is going to sustain itself as a wellness destination?
Okay, well, wellness is something which is our core competency. Like I said before, the little habits that we grew up as children were the rituals that Indian culture had. All forms, basis, it's all from our Ayurvedic culture and yogic culture. Even small little things like the punishments that we got as children in school, holding your ears, doing squats.
Right.
Now we are all going and paying to learn the same things that the teachers already taught us. Raising your hands. While we were busy doing Tadasan, as a child, now is the time that we actually realize that it was not just a punishment. It was very good to make sure that our internal organs as well as our muscles were well exercised. So I think India is a pioneer. Plus our adaptability to change towards new situations. So COVID happened to the world, but I think India acted very well as far as how to come out of it is concerned.
Okay.
So we will come back much stronger than before. And I'm very confident that wellness is something that will take us into a new tourism stratosphere. So for all the students who are listening in, I'm telling you, this is something which is extremely exciting. You can practice this for decades and decades, and you can continue working in this field and you'll still never be bored. There'll be enough for you to learn. So that's something that you can't say for a lot of other fields, because once you've learned it, you're like, okay, fine, I know it all. But here is one thing that will keep you challenged throughout the years.
So beautiful, Poonam. You are exciting me. You know, I've just slowly moved out of the wellness realm, but now it's like I want to get back in there. Mr. Baby Matthew, your thoughts on how we are going to be perceived from a global point of view? Because I think very soon India is going to have the largest number of cases, overtaking the US. So how do you think MOT or the state tourism boards or private trade has to approach this, and what should be our marketing strategy?
Vinitha, we have a lot of advantages. I mean, for India or for our wellness products like Ayurveda and yoga. That advantage is the biggest thing. So recently, you might have heard Chukku Kapi. Chukku Kapi means, this is a Malayalam word. Chukku means ginger. Kapi means coffee.
Right.
You know, it has got 8 ingredients. Recently, my doctors, one doctor, we made a live demonstration on how to prepare Chukku Kapi. For that, I made a documentary also on that. Doctor himself showing how to prepare it. And I put it in Facebook. Within 10 days, 10 lakhs people watched that video. YouTube and Facebook, we put it. In Facebook, 10 lakhs watched. And I made this preparation live 2 weeks before. And one guest from America, she participated watching that, and she commented. She got COVID positive. And she was going through that situation. She got even pneumonia, and there she was telling her experience. There's no facility there. They cannot go to the hospital. Hospital is there, but if COVID is there, they say you just stay in the stay at home. And finally, she had some Kerala background. She was telling she got tulasi, she got ginger there, she got pepper there. These are all some ingredients. She was using this every day, and she was taking inhalation with these things. She was taking 3 times inhalation every day, and she was taking 2 to 3 cups of chukku kapi. This coffee every day. That was the best relief for her. The other treatment is only they are giving antibiotics they are giving. No other medicine they are giving. So this is what Ayurveda can offer during this period. So I'm confident. Really, my 30 years experience doing this Ayurveda and yoga. I'm confident. After a few months, people will come. Ayurveda tourism will definitely grow like anything in India. I think there may be much more scope for wellness, Ayurveda, and yoga tourism. Especially India has got the spirituality. We always say body, mind, and soul. But I think Ayurveda and yoga people say body, mind. Others say body, mind only. We say body, mind, and soul, or spirit.
True.
Yeah, I'm sure we will come back.
Dr. Purnima, what is your take? I mean, we've just heard Mr. Baby Matthew talk about the advantages of chukki coffee, or teaching the world about the small things that we take as part of our daily routine. What do you think? Do you think COVID came as a good thing for us, where India, spirituality, wellness, all of it is going to get even more highlighted as we go into the future? Do you think there's some scope there?
Definitely, because basically wellness is a sunrise industry, for the world in India, because doctors across the globe are kind of promoting their patients to move towards holistic health, basically. And Ayurveda is, as you know, is a more than a 5,000-year-old healing tradition. I don't want to call it a science of medicine, because it's more a science of life.
Right.
It was given to us because it taught us how to enhance, enliven, extend our life, and prevent disease and aging process. So everything in one bowl that was given to us. So that's what Ayurveda is. And the world is looking at us now, because whether it's in the US or in the Europe, the cost of medication is ever increasing, and the aging population is also increasing. So kind of these countries are referring their patients over to other countries for medical treatment and for wellness formulas. So we have a rich source of all these, straight from our kitchen to the basic principles of Ayurveda, whether it is the Dinacharya, Rutucharya, Sadvrita, or simple home remedies. We have everything with us. And this sector has seen a lot of growth, because people have they have understood that this is the Vedic wisdom that we've always wanted, isn't it? So there has been a paradigm shift in their thinking, in their understanding. So they're all looking towards Ayurveda for wellness, rejuvenation, healing, and all that is encapsulated. Also, like the polish that's given to it, along with the spiritual
element added to it. So they trust us, and
Yeah.
that's where the whole world is heading, because they know that this is the elixir of life.
Right. So that brings me to Dr. Swami. Dr. Purnima thinks that the element of trust is going to be very important going into the future. What do you think about how the world is going to perceive India as a wellness hub in the coming months, in the coming years? I think you have to unmute, Dr. Swami.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute it. No, as rightly Dr. Purnima has said, the whole world is waiting towards India now.
Right.
And India is very well experienced in whether it's not only prevention is better than the cure, even the illness to wellness journey. You have everything from initial stage till the end stage of the treatments. So that's why nowadays you see a lot of these retreats or resorts or the wellness experiences are becoming much better healing experiences. As Matthew was saying, that it is not only body, mind, it's including the soul. So we get whole body as a 360 degree. Apart from that, right now need of the hour is to boost everybody's immunity. See, Ayurveda became popular worldwide only from its rejuvenation perspective. Apart from that, everyone knew that there is a prevention aspect more.
Right.
Than the curing aspect, still they had a big question mark. It's not scientific and all those, but those myths have gone now.
Right.
Lot of evidence-based treatments, evidence-based preventive therapies, lot of things have been established.
Right.
The world that we are well prepared and ready to go ahead.
Right.
To accept and give the best to the world. People are waiting to us. That's for sure.
Adi, are you there?
Yes, madam.
Yes, Adi. So what is your thought? Do you think that globally acceptance will come, even though we are trending quite high on the COVID list right now, and people from Europe or people from the US will travel all the way in the near future to India?
Absolutely. I don't think there is any, I don't have any doubts in that, because at the end of it, India has always been a hub for not just travel and tourism, but I think enlightenment is something that I would, is a word that's something I would use to put all this in a very broader perspective. Secondly, what I also feel is, these, as, Dr. Purnima had mentioned, this is 5, 6, 10,000 years old. I'm sure there were issues like COVID that happened in all the time that has passed by, and this stuff still survived. So there is something to it. At the end of it, one of the reasons the entire allopathic medicine today is in a dwindle is because they've never seen something like this.
Right.
But if you look at all the Ayurvedic remedies, all Ayurvedic preventives that have come out, I won't say remedies, I would say just preventives and supporting care. These were already there. I mean, we all knew the kada, we all knew steaming, we all knew, breathing exercises, we all knew pranayama and everything. And these are the things that people are talking about to help you with COVID today.
Right.
So I personally feel, India, the ethos that we are sitting on today, it's basically a gold mine, and it is for us as citizens, apart from hoteliers or wellness professionals or, whatever you may want to call it, as citizens to actually bring this out into the world. It is already reaching there. I mean, I have a few friends in Germany and stuff like that who speak Kannada and Hindi.
Right.
Because they worked in Mysore, and they're in love with this place.
Right.
Now, there is a culture which is touching people to a place like Germany, which is probably never heard of the word Kannada in their life.
Right.
And so there is something to it. I'm not sure it'll be easy for us to describe it in a sentence or in a phrase or even in an essay. But there is something to it. It is a wonder, and I'm going to say this again, the kada and this and that, it's a wonder that people are looking at going back to tulsi, people are looking at going back to ginger, people are looking at going back to pepper. And these are something which we as Indians take for granted. It's just there. Yeah, tulsi ji ki puja we do every day. Ginger is something that we eat in our food every day. Pepper is something which is, of course, I mean, we are sitting in Mysore, Coorg is full of it. So this is something, and Sunti, I mean, Sunti Kopa there's a place called Sunti Kopa, which is ginger.
Yeah.
So I personally feel like everything is there. It's just that now it is being packaged in a particular way and it's reaching a certain audience. And it's happened in the past about 10 years. But I personally feel there is a little bit of a packaging issue which we need to resolve as citizens. And if we're able to do that.
That was my whole point, Adi, because when a Westerner thinks of India, there's always a worry about cleanliness or hygiene. And I think as a panel, we understand that this is going to be the toughest roadblock.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's also the picture that we put across to the world. At the end of it, whenever, I mean, I'm not going to be biased or anything. There are certain international channels, whenever you talk about India, they show that little boy begging on the street, and that's not the case at the end of it. I mean, we've all seen COVID. I don't see beggars that have gone increased. We've all seen reports of people literally falling down in streets and, dying of COVID. In spite of us having almost 100,000 cases a day, that's not happened in India. There is something to it at the end of it. And it is difficult to describe it, but I think it'll be easier to package it. It'll be easier to reach it to the world. And one of the things that I'm really proud of is the Yoga Day. I mean, you look at the amount of people, even in the Middle East, doing yoga in the middle of the streets. So people do appreciate what is happening. But I personally feel that if we are able to actually package Ayurveda in a very, very good fashion, like the International Day of Yoga has been done, which is zoomed through the world, if you're able to package the wellness, the yoga, the Ayurveda and its healing properties to the world, I think there is no stopping. There is just no stopping. If a curative practice like homeopathy, which was done by some guy in Germany about 400 years ago, it's still alive. I'm talking about. I mean, we are talking about something which was written by people who, in no simple words, saw the future.
True.
I think the road is just started. I think it's not we've not even started on the journey as of now.
So that's a very, very positive note. Poonam, if you're still there, since we're talking to students, how would you describe wellness? And what, according to you, is wellness tourism and what is spiritual tourism? Okay, doesn't look like Poonam is there. So, Mr. Baby Matthew, do you want to take that question?
Yes.
How to define wellness to the student who is just stepping into tourism?
Wellness is a healthy balance of body, mind, and soul.
Right.
In very briefly.
Right.
We have to balance our emotions. We have to balance our body. We have to balance our occupation. We have to balance our spirituality. So when we could balance all this, we are in a position where our body is in a well-being position. We have to attain. And that is the principle of Ayurveda.
Right.
Principle of yoga. See, and towards this, India got a lot of advantages. I would like to say one example why when I speak, I am speaking more about foreign tourism or foreign people coming is because me and my brother started this. My brother was living in Germany. We started mainly concentrating on foreign guests. Reason. One example I want to see. I know one yoga teacher, America. Her name is Shiva Ria. Her father was working in Delhi. So she changed her name into Shiva. She that way. She comes every year to Somadhiram, to my place, with a group of average 30 to 40 people. They stay almost for 1 year. And she developed a yoga, Kalari yoga. You know the martial arts of Kerala,
Yes.
She made a typical, her own kind of yoga. It's called Kalari yoga. She goes every day in the morning, 4 o'clock to the city. There is a Kalari center. She goes every day there. And he teaches this Kalari Yoga to her clientele who he welcomes from different parts of the world. So what I want to say is, these are certain things, India's heritage. This India only have this.
Right.
This big culture, big heritage, this science of Ayurveda which originated in India, we say 5,000. It is not 5,000. It is not 5,000. It is more than that.
Right.
Like that, yoga. So now yoga being practiced all over the world. Around 80% of the people all over the world know yoga. So they practice more than us, more than our Indians. They practice yoga. So I want to say finally one more point. During this COVID period, I practice yoga.
Okay.
The teacher, you know how we start the yoga. Our people start, or my teacher is teaching me like this. The prayer, we have a prayer.
Right.
Asado ma sadgamaya, taso ma jyotirgamaya, mrito ma amridam gamaya, om shanti, shanti, shanti.
Yeah.
This is the way, even I practice yoga every day.
Right.
This is the way the teacher teaches. So this is the difference. This we may not be able to get in other countries.
Right.
This is the advantage, in short, I want to say. So that is the way we Ayurveda of Indian Ayurveda or our Ayurveda, our yoga say, this is the way we can be well-being. We can keep wellness as a tool for being. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Purnima, some final words for students about how you think wellness is going to be slated in the future, what scope there is for them in this, tourism sector. You already said it's a sunrise sector.
Yes,
so you can expand
as
on
Dr. Matthew was describing, that it is a complete, Ayurveda talks about a complete balance of or a harmony between the mind, body and the soul. I would, are you able to hear me?
Yes, Dr.
Yeah. It's definitely a harmonious combination of the mind, body, and soul concept. But there is the concept of environment, the nature, and everything put together. So it's a complete science. Ayurveda is not just a curative, preventive, rejuvenative science. It's a complete philosophy of life. So wellness, which is being described, putting all the elements of being Ayurveda or yoga or naturopathy into it, is something that talks about holistic approach. It is something that brings in both internal and external stability to the body and the mind and the soul and the whole element that rules the whole scenario here. And definitely there is, this is going to boom big because, as I said earlier, the West is looking at us also because India is, people can understand English, which is very important here. There are other countries where they don't go in for these treatments because English is one language that can be used for business here, and that's why they look in here. Right. And also, people are looking at wellness as an investment today, whether it is for their curative purposes or for rejuvenative purposes, cosmetic, you name any, field. They look at this as an investment. More than just taking treatments, therapies for their illnesses or whatever. So they think if they invest in wellness today, tomorrow, they can
reap the rich dividends, as it were.
Isn't it? Yes. And also the government also is nowadays joining hands in terms of promoting wellness and healthcare, and even the insurance companies are chipping in so that people come forward to try Ayurveda therapies, and people are more and more interested these days to look into all this, and that's why it's becoming more than a $3 billion industry today. So
absolutely.
So definitely there's no doubt that well, let me share this with you. When I wanted to choose studying Ayurveda, there were many people who discouraged me. They said, it's just about herbs and jadi booty. What are you going to do with all these things, But today I'm so proud because I chose this field. And I know where I am, so sought after, proud to say that. And I see a lot of hope. In fact, I am definitely encouraging my daughter Abhigna to get into Ayurveda. Next year she'll be, getting into the NEET examination so that she'll enroll into Ayurveda, and encouraging my older daughter to do hospital management, which will take her into health and wellness industry. So for students, definitely this is a very promising field, I must say.
So it's good to know that Dr. Purnima and Dr. Krishnamurthy's legacy will continue in the coming years. Dr. Swami, what's your thought? What would be your final words for the students who are tuning in? What would your take be on why they should choose wellness over other tourism sectors for a future as a career?
Yeah. No, right now the students who are watching us may be thinking that these are all the big players in the market right now.
Which you are.
How we are going to compete with them, how we are going to establish ourselves. But one thing I want to tell everyone, because wellness is the big boom right now in the tourism industry. Okay, wellness per se. Because other thing right now, it will take some time to pick up, but right now this is in a huge demand.
Correct.
And apart from that, earlier wellness was only with few people. Only those Ayurveda experts, yoga experts and all. But now the science has developed so well. So many institutions have come up now, and lot of research, lot of evidences are happening. And you will get lot of people to run your wellness place in your property or in your place, where you can also get into a big platform to explore. Because people are waiting for a good players to execute the wellness in proper way. As you rightly said initial time, that lot of people are worried about the hygiene, cleanliness, the stinking smell. If we give those fine tuning, if we do that and give a best service, and right now is a platform, let us use it to the huge potential. And there are a lot of government incentives are there, like there is no GST for Ayurveda practitioners. So those are all we have to use for our advantage during such situation, crisis situation. That's what I want to tell everyone.
Okay. Adi, if you're there, can you come on video? Okay, I don't think Adi's there. Samya, what is your thought? What do you want to say as your final words to students of tourism? How would you tell them to approach it as a career path?
I think tourism is one of the sectors which teaches you a whole lot of life. It's not just your livelihood, but it teaches you about life. The basics of welcoming people with a smile and how to tackle a tricky situation again with a smile. So that's the basic philosophy, so that you are not really under any kind of stress. We also realize that, in my profession, we meet up with so many other hoteliers. Initially, everybody, when we spoke about spa, all the big brands, all the American brands and the German brands thought that this is an investment which is not going to give them any return. Oh, why do I block 5,000 square feet or 10,000 square feet of my space? It's a cost. I might as well build 10, 20, 25 rooms. I'll get revenue out of it.
Correct.
We saw that phase about 20 years ago. 10 years ago, it came, no, at least we must have a spa. Now they're talking about spa and a yoga pavilion. I think somebody would again look at, let's not really get into the, multiple rooms, but let's build cottages and give them more space. So people are adapting to it. And you guys, who are going to be passing out of this institute in a fabulous tourism curriculum, it's an opportunity for you to make space for yourself here. the Indian traditional values will take you places. We are well respected, appreciated worldwide for our hard work. Ayurveda is giving you another branch to hold on to it and to expand your horizon and to look forward, and the world would be, welcoming you with open hands. At the end of the day, you're marrying two thought processes which go hand in hand together.
Right.
And yeah, it's going to be a fabulous future if you focus on wellness tourism.
All right. So I think we've done our 1 hour. 1 hour's passed, like in just a flash. I could go on talking to you for, I think, 2-3 more hours. But if we can have final words from Mr. Baby Matthew of Somathiram. Sir, I think you can conclude for all of us, because you have been able to do something which all of us only dream about. You have been able to take the message of Ayurveda to the world. So final words from you.
Thank you very much, Vinita, and panelists and dear students. See, New Tourism Foundation is doing a great thing. I was watching these days. They are conducting many seminars like this, many webinars like this. It is really useful for the tourism fraternity, for the tourism students, and especially people like us, we can share the experience, we can hear the experience of other people, the eminent personalities sitting here, Soumya, Swami, Purnima, Poonam, everybody is sitting there, Adi, everybody is there. And Sanjay Sonia, I know, many years, every year we see him in Berlin, Germany, or we see him WTM London. He is associated with India tourism for many, many years. Very good ideas. Anyway, what in short I want to say is wellness and spirituality, wellness tourism, or even say spiritual tourism, or we can even say, we can say a little more, not just wellness, as Dr. Purnima told or Swami told. It's not just wellness. We were talking Ayurveda for many years, alternative medicine.
Right.
Alternative medicine. Recently, we had a CEI, Confederation of Indian Industry, conducted an Ayurveda webinar. I was a moderator. See, we declared, we should say, Ayurveda is not just an alternative medicine. Ayurveda is a mainstream medicine, or we should make Ayurveda mainstream medicine. We should get the acceptance of Ayurveda all over the world. Now yoga being accepted, almost 80% of the world. Narendra Modi ji, our Prime Minister, announced the Yoga Day, International Yoga Day, with the approval of United Nations. Oh, the government of India and other Ayurveda fraternity, they are all trying to get the same approval for Ayurveda among the world, and also getting an Ayurveda Day to be declared by United Nations approval. We already have an Ayurveda Day. The Dhanvantri Day is celebrated as Ayurveda Day. Right. So students, for wellness, especially in India, for wellness, Ayurveda wellness, yoga wellness, or any kind of wellness, this is the right place. Because we are combining, in India we are combining wellness with spirituality, or we say it is a science of body, mind and soul. In Ayurveda, we have curative and preventive and rejuvenative treatments. That is the advantage.
Right.
Only curative.
Yes.
It is rejuvenative, it is preventive and curative. That advantage is there.
Right.
We combine everything together, body, mind and spirit, or body, mind and soul, we can say. So, wish you all the best. Be confident. We Indians, we have very good advantage towards wellness tourism, Ayurveda tourism, yoga tourism, or spiritual tourism, or we can say more than that, the philosophy, the science of Ayurveda, the science of yoga. Thank you very much.
On that wonderfully encouraging note, I'd like to say a very big thank you to Mr. Baby Matthew, Soumya Maheshwari, Dr. Purnima Krishnamurthy, Dr. Mrityunjay Swami, Adi Atyant and Poonam. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful talking to all of you, and we really appreciate your time. I know you're all extremely busy people. So thank you once again on behalf of TSF, and look forward to seeing you all soon.
Interactive and a fruitful session. And I'm highly thankful to all our eminent panelists for their insightful and thoughtful addresses, and also to the viewers of this session. I'm sure that the takeaways of the session will enthuse confidence among students and young professionals during the current testing times towards the new normal. We have a surprise for you all attendees. Scan the QR code on your screens with your mobile phones and answer 10 questions in 10 minutes. You will get to win prizes and surprise gifts. And I shall see you in the next session.